Hey guys, it's Tuesday and we're picking up where we left off yesterday. Today, I want to go back to the chapter that Jesus quotes from to resist the devil this time around. So again, the devil chooses Psalm 91 to tempt Jesus to test God, and Jesus chooses an excerpt. A quote from Moses himself when the Israelites are in the wilderness. They're about to leave the wilderness. Again, I think this might be overstatement, maybe a little bit, but I think repetition is good. This is a time in Deuteronomy when Moses is, in fact, reflecting after these 40 years in the wilderness, and so don't lose sight of the parallel here. Matthew is directly connecting this. Jesus has spent 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness. The Israelites had just spent 40 years in the wilderness. Moses is meeting with the people and reflecting on their some successes, but a lot of failures and lessons that they've learned from these failures, and encouraging them to choose life, to choose faithfulness to their God, to their King, as they enter into this new land. And so Jesus, in all the places where the Israelites have failed in their journey through the wilderness, Jesus has succeeded. Okay. And so even now, the devil is tempting him as a last chance to get him to fail. Just like the Israelites, those who came before him did. And Jesus, resists every time. So in this specific week, he quotes from Deuteronomy 6, specifically verse 16. And again, let me pull that up here real quick. Verse 16 says, "Do not put the Lord your God to the test as you did at Massa." So what I want to point out, though, is if you were to go to Deuteronomy 6, and we're at verse 16, but you back up about 12 verses, I think you will encounter something that is so familiar to you if you've been a part of Direction Church or around anything that we've been doing for the past 5 years. And yes, I know we're just replanted, relaunched, and all that. But we still have history. We still have the years before and the different things that we've done together. But if you go back those verses to Deuteronomy 6, verse 4, you hear these words, and I want you to think about the times you've heard this before. "Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God, the Lord is one. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad." Wow, I kind of butchered that a little bit, but there you go. And you might, if you don't remember that, maybe this will sound a little bit more familiar to you. "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength." And Moses keeps going. He says, "These commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk around the road, when you lie down and when you get up. Tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them to your foreheads. Write them on the door frames of your houses and on your gates." In other words, let me bring this to modern Western 2025 for us today. These things, what I just said, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your strength." These things should be in every single thing that you think about and you do. If you think you found something that's unrelated to this, you're wrong, and go look again. Even the idea of tie these symbols on your hands and bind them to your foreheads. You had the Pharisees that walked around, or maybe not just the Pharisees, but these super uber religious elite. They would have something called phylacteries. It's like small boxes that they would wear on their foreheads with small scrolls with scriptures written on them, put into these little boxes. So you think about like this small little treasure chests or something that you get from the dentist if you're a kid, or maybe at school when you lose a tooth. And just imagine wearing something like that on your head with the different scriptures written on a scroll or piece of parchment and rolled up and put in there. Now, they took this quite literally, and you can take that literally, that's fine. But I think about this, though. What can you do in life where you don't use action, like with your hands or with your feet? There's not much, okay? I'm just going to go ahead and answer that for the sake of time. Now, even if you find something that you can do, what do you do in life that does not involve your brain or your mind? Again, even less, I think, or less to none. Less than none. And you can correct me on that if you want. That's fine. Just send me an email and I may read it. I'm just totally kidding. I usually read your emails, so there you go. But here's the thing: like this part of Deuteronomy 6, in the same chapter that Jesus is quoting, a practice or a common thing was if you quoted something from a chapter, the whole section and context comes with it. Okay, so like when Jesus is hanging on the cross and he says, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Go check that out in the psalm that he's quoting from. And at the end, you find out that he's reassured, the psalmist is reassured that God has not abandoned him. He has not forsaken him. In fact, God is with him every step of the way, kind of like what we talked a little bit about leaning into Job, for example, about how God gave him an answer, like better than just the why. Why, God, would you let this happen? And God's like, I'll do you one better, because even if I answer why, it's only going to last. It's only going to be a surface level answer. I'm going to give you something that's so deep it supersedes that answer or even that question. I'm going to give you my presence. And so, anyway, like I'm getting off topic a little bit, but everything's connected. So there you go. But here's the thing: in Deuteronomy 6, the Shema, that's what it's called. It's the first word. The word for here is Shema. Okay, but it has a little bit more connotation than just audibly recognizing that somebody's talking to you. So like when I do this with my kids, and you do this with your kids as a parent. When you say, "Do you hear me?" Like, yes, you mean, do you audibly you hear? Like, are the sound waves exiting my mouth and going into your ears? Do you understand? Do you recognize that something is being communicated? Yes. But usually, most the case, the deeper level of intent behind "do you hear me" is, do you understand to a point that you now will adjust the way that you live? And so this is the Shema. The word Shema has this element to it. It's more than just letting the audio waves enter into your mind. It's more than just recognizing that something was said. It is hearing what was said, understanding what was said, and living in light and in obedience and in faithfulness in light of what was said. And so this is what it starts with. Deuteronomy 6:4. Hear, Israel. This is what Moses is saying. The Lord our God is one. In other words, like in the NLT, I believe, I don't have it in front of me, says the Lord our God is the only God. Okay. And as we'll allude to here in the next couple weeks together, as we continue the series, all these other kingdoms that fight for our allegiance, all these other things that fight for our lives must be collapsed and removed, because there's only one who is worthy and one who is rightfully a ruler. And also there's only one kingdom and king that will bring about life to the full. Life, an everlasting life that will never end. And that is the kingdom of Jesus. And this is what we're moving to. And most of us know this, but this is how it unfolds through this series and what we're talking through. And this is what Moses is trying to get the Israelites to understand. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord alone. He is one. He's the only one, okay? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your strength. And if you recognize that Jesus quotes this in Mark chapter, oh gosh, I am embarrassed that I forgot this. I think it's Mark 12. It's either 11 or 12. I'm going to lean 12. I might correct myself here in a minute. But what Jesus quotes is he adds, yes, it is Mark 12 there. I corrected myself and affirmed that. He adds a little bit. He like one of the way he phrases it, especially, and that is love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength. I'm not going to go super deep into that, but this is something that Jesus affirms and in fact re-emphasizes. The Shema is important. And so the connecting a little bit and deepening our understanding of why I think Jesus is quoting this from Deuteronomy 6 is do not put the Lord to the test, is because trusting in God, let's not even put it there. Just the concept of trust. If something is genuinely trusted, it does not need proved because it is believed already. It has everything it needs to be believed and trusted in. I know I just used the word to define a word, so I'm sorry. And so this is what Jesus is getting at here. And then lastly, I want to share this famous proverb chapter 3, verse 5. And this is what I want to leave you with today, just to kind of keep your mind rolling. Remember the Shema, love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul. And then Jesus adds strength in there. But in Proverbs 3:5, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, mind. In all your ways, and this is verse 6, in all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. Heart, mind, soul, and strength. I think all four of those, soul and strength, kind of fit in that last in verse 6. And all your ways, and all the ways that you go, and all the ways that you travel, the ways that you work, you think, you move, and all the ways you think, all your purposes and motivations in life, submit those to him. And so I think the Deuteronomy 6 Shema, I think that's very much present right here in Proverbs chapter 3 as well. So that's what I'm going to leave you with today. And I hope that you guys have a great day, and I will be back tomorrow.